Welcome back to the 2015 World Championship, coming to you live from Paris, France. Getting a quick look outside the venue. Beautiful day out there in France. As we speak, though, Europe's Origen is setting up across from the LCK's KT Rolster in a fight to take the lead in Group D. Now, both of these teams have shown very intelligent drafts so far. So what specifically are we looking for going into that pick ban phase?
I feel to start off, you have to take a look at the fact that Origen is red side. That will leave them with the last pick. And I think that's going to be fundamental to SOA's success in this matchup.
So what we've seen from Origen so far, with SOAS, he's been having the opportunity to get some of these counter picks in, playing that Vladimir. But with KT, the first pick may be pretty instrumental, especially if we don't see a Lulu ban from Origen, which we'll probably see. But KT has flexibility in their bans on the blue side. And Origen has gotten Kalista. And obviously, Niels is very good at this champion. Niels and Mithy are playing around the Fate's Call very well. But I don't think KT leaves that pickup in this particular game. And that's going to force Origen to show something new out of their duo lane.
Not only have I been impressed with Origen's play, but the draft speaks to a lot of research done by their whole staff and the team members, because even though it does have some reactionary picks, the fact that they bait your opponent into picking picks that they haven't shown yet shows that they've done a lot of research. It's a very intelligent way of going about the game, and KT has also done the same thing, and that's why this is probably going to be my game of the day, because of how fun these guys pick. So, they don't lose games at the draft, and at first you may think that's kind of wonky, and even SOAS was outspoken about, oh, we never practiced Vlad top, but we just picked it because we thought it was a good
That's
pick.
such a SOAS thing to say.
Very much so. Very much so.
I love that kind of play because you're able to adapt to any situation that way.
I have to add as well, I spoke about red side, but on blue side, it gives opportunities to actually counter ban, because you have to ban these strong OP champions like GP, like Lulu, as we talked about. But on blue side, it leaves room to ban the Varus and the Kalista, as you spoke about. And I think that will put Nagne on the Azir.
Well, I think you can be a bit more creative, and some of these picks are showing that they're not so much so must bans. The only one that really appeared to be just completely unmanageable was Gangplank in all these games. Mordekaiser, even in that game that we just saw, TSM LGD, it looked like they're able to deal with it. If they played a bit better, Mordekaiser would have been dealt with effectively.
Now let's move on to the gameplay, where both teams, as you mentioned, have been playing quite well, but KT particularly playing exceptionally clean League of Legends this tournament so far.
Yeah, and that's my takeaway here, is that while Origen has definitely looked strong, they still have had their moments of weakness where SOAS will overcommit to a split push, die by himself. These are openings that if you give them to Someday, he will completely take over a game, and that's the big thing. Fortunately for Origen, they're going to force Someday to blind pick a top laner, most likely, which will be to their advantage, and we'll have to see exactly what Someday wants to play in that particular scenario, because he's got such an immense champion pool. But those kind of mistakes are ones that could absolutely sink Origen. So SOAS is a great player, but sometimes he can get himself killed in awkward situations. He must avoid that in this game.
You know, that being said, Someday is one of the few top laners who has had success blind picking Darius.
Yes.
So, you speak to just the strength of Someday. They might not be too afraid to blind pick that
And
anyway.
Fiora. I think Fiora should be banned this game because he will blind pick the Fiora, and that is going to be something that will be very difficult for Origen to deal with.
All right, well, Crumbs, as you mentioned, it might be game of the day, so it's time to make the call. Who's going to come away with the win in this matchup?
For me, I'm going to go with Origen. I've been impressed with how they've been playing, and I really enjoy seeing these guys go for a lot of aggressive trading that at first you're like, wow, are they really doing that? It's like, oh, well, they did it, and then they capitalize off it afterwards. Mithy has been very aggressive in his play style. Niels, even though it's been 2 games of Kalista, he has Vayne as well, which I think he can play to the same level of the Kalista. Huge pick, especially in dealing with any snowballing champion from the top lane.
Monty?
This is one of those games that I really wish I could pick after the draft, because we've been talking about it. I think for all of us, that's the most fun part of this game. And I would have picked KT instead of LGD had I seen the draft, obviously. I'm still going to go with KT here just because I think their execution in terms of play has been cleaner than Origen's. And when we're looking at drafting phases that are very similar, I think they've got an advantage.
All righty. Finally, Yamato.
I have to say that I'm predicting that KT is going to just ban out the Varus, ban out the Kalista, and then just put Nagne on Azir, and that's going to kind of dissect Pekka's champion pool that he has played in this tournament. So I'm going to go with KT.
All right, well, we got people on both sides of the coin. It's time to send it over to Quick Shot, Jat, and Pastry Time to get us into Champion Select.